Medusa, the one with the snake hair that could turn you into a rock just by catching your eye, is one of the most famous mythological monsters. You've probably heard about her in some movie or TV show, but what's the real deal with the terrifying snake hair lady? So, according to the myths, Medusa was one of the three Gorgon sisters alongside Stheno and Uriel. They were the daughters of the sea gods Phorcys and Ceto, living at the edge of the world. These girls were like horror movie stars: fangs, bronze hands, golden wings, and instead of hair, they had snakes. Look at them, and boom, you're a statue. Their looks were downright terrifying, intimidating, and yet iconic. Wide mouths, wild eyes, and snake crowns. But no Gorgon was more famous than Medusa. While her sisters were immortal and monstrous, Medusa was born different. She was mortal, kind-natured, and stuck with this lonely fate while her sisters lived forever. Where they were nightmare fuel, she was drop-dead gorgeous. Everyone who knew her was captivated by her beauty, especially her stunning, gorgeous golden hair. But, as they say, not all attention is good attention. Medusa caught the eye of a certain frisky god, Poseidon. This guy, the brother of Zeus and god of the sea, was totally into her and boldly pursued her. Medusa, though, wasn't having any of it. She devoted herself to a life of celibacy and was all about serving the goddess Athena, so she rejected him. But gods don't like being turned down. One day, in Athena's own temple, Poseidon forced himself on Medusa. Medusa prayed to Athena for guidance and forgiveness, but Athena was furious about her temple being disrespected. And guess who she punished? Not her uncle Poseidon, but Medusa. Athena looked down in anger and cursed Medusa for betraying her, turned her into this monster so that no man would ever want her again, swapping her hair for snakes and making her face so hideous that anyone who looked at her turned to stone. Medusa then joined her sisters, hiding from society while heroes lined up to try and off her. She was angry at the gods and took her revenge on the men that were sent to kill her, turning them all into stone. But eventually, one dude did manage to end her life. There are tons of versions of the Medusa myth, but one thing's for sure, in all these tales, Medusa's death at the hands of the hero, Perseus. Perseus' story starts with King Acreus of Argos getting a heads up from the Oracle of Delphi that his grandson would off him one day. To prevent that, he locked his daughter Danae in an underground chamber because he figured she couldn't get pregnant there. But Zeus, the god of thunder and known for having affairs with mortal women, wasn't going to let a little thing like walls stop him. So Zeus, the big man in the sky, decides to visit Danae, but not in any ordinary way. Nope, he comes in the form of golden rain, goes right through the walls of her chamber, and surprise, surprise, Danae ends up pregnant. Fast forward, and she pops out a baby boy named Perseus. Danae's dad, Acreus, gets super mad because he didn't want any grandkids. Not believing the whole baby daddy is Zeus story, he puts Danae and baby Perseus on a ship and sets them adrift in the Big Blue. They float around until they hit Seriphos Island, where a local couple who are not your average Joe and Jane find them. The husband is the brother of Polydectes, the island's king. Fast forward again. When Perseus is all grown up, he becomes a strong, handsome dude. This makes King Polydectes super jelly. Polydectes wants to marry Danae, but her son Perseus is in the way. Danae's not into the king, and Perseus is keeping his mom safe from Polydectes' creepy moves. So the king hatches a plan to send Perseus away and to get rid of him for good. He throws a royal feast where everyone has to bring him a gift. Polydectes asks Perseus for a gift that's basically a death sentence. He has to find Medusa, kill her, and then take back Medusa's head. He thinks there's no way he's coming back from that one, her turning people into stone and all. But Perseus is like, bring it on, and vows to return victorious with the Gorgon's head. Now Athena, who's always up for some Medusa misery and helping her demigod half-brother, steps in to lend him a hand. She tells Perseus to find the Hesperides, who can tell him where to find Medusa and her sisters. But before he could locate the Hesperides, he's got to deal with the Graeae. They were Gorgon's sisters, three gray-haired ladies sharing one eye, and refuse to help him. Perseus plays a bit of keep away, stealing their eye and holding it hostage, in exchange for the location of the Hesperides. Perseus gives back the eye and is on his way. When he finally finds the Hesperides, they hook him up with a special bag to carry Medusa's head without turning to stone. And a bunch of gods give him some gear that would help him with his quest. Athena gives him a shiny shield, Zeus an unbreakable sickle, Hades gives him a helmet that makes him invisible, and Hermes some winged sandals to run from Medusa's immortal sisters. Armed with divine gear and the secret location of the Gorgon's cave, Perseus is ready to battle Medusa. When he gets to the cave, he finds Medusa asleep. Using the shiny shield from Athena, he's able to look at Medusa's reflection and watches her without turning into a rock. Then Perseus, armed with his indestructible sword, slices off Medusa's head, and this crazy thing happens next. From her gushing neck wound, the famous winged horse Pegasus and his bro, Chrysaor, were born. While wearing his invisibility helmet, Perseus stuffs Medusa's head in the bag and makes a run for it. But wait, there's more. On his way home, he swings by Ethiopia and spots a gorgeous young lady, Andromeda, tied to a rock, just waiting to be monster lunch. Turns out this was Poseidon's doing, a punishment for the Ethiopian queen's vanity. Andromeda was about to pay the price for her mom's self-admiration, claiming she was more beautiful than the daughters of Nereus. Perseus, being the hero and all, offers to kill the monster in exchange for Andromeda's hand in marriage. He slays the beast, saves the girl, and they tie the knot. Dun 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 dun. But wait, her creepy uncle, who was supposed to marry her, crashes the wedding. Yikes! A fight breaks out, but Perseus is not one to back down. He pulls out Medusa's head and turns the sleazy uncle into stone. After all this drama, it's finally time for Perseus and his new wife to head home and give King Polydectes his gift. But when he gets back, he finds out Polydectes has been creeping on his mother the whole time. Ugh. Perseus has had enough. He confronts the king in his palace, whips out Medusa's head, and Polydectes turns into a stone statue, his face frozen in shock. Now he doesn't have to deal with him anymore. Finally, Perseus presents Medusa's head to Athena as a thank you for her help. Athena puts it on her shield, the Aegis, using it as both an offense and defense weapon. It not only protects her, but can now turn her enemies to stone. But what about that prophecy of Perseus killing his grandpa? Yep, it happens, but totally by accident. During some athletic games, Perseus throws a discus, which hits an old man. Turns out to be his long-lost grandpa. And what about Medusa? Sure, she's dead, but her story doesn't end there. As Perseus flies over the North African desert with the winged shoes gifted by Hermes, Medusa's blood drips onto the sand, creating venomous snakes. And when he stops by the Red Sea, her blood turns into this hard red coral, which we nowadays know as hard-shelled or Gorgonian coral.